you, but I'm gonna bring it to you. So you got one, Dave got one, and Rap got one.
So, okay.
And I slept out there. Right? Do I get one?
You guys had a chance to chat to find it? I'll just bring it up there.
Oh, great. I'm sorry.
Please sign
You
in.
guys can sign in.
And
please.
here's the agenda.
The agenda's there, yeah. Might need a couple more agendas, Payable.
Oh, yes, there's more here.
Huh?
There's more here.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, just two, three. Thanks.
Yeah, once you make the Zoom option, people stay.
I
home.
know. It's a mixed blessing. I go to a Zen temple down in Tribeca and they have, it's hybrid. Nobody comes.
Yeah.
It's kind of why am I coming all the way downtown to watch people on Zoom? It's not the same.
Yeah. It's very convenient, but it's alienating. all the time.
Yes.
Do you need to sign in? Should I give this to you?
No, we have a separate one for the
Oh,
board
okay.
members, yeah.
Go up to 82 today. Beautiful, yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Richard Allman is on Zoom.
No, it's actually. I got on the
Yeah.
chat.
Hi, guys. Good morning. My name is Deborah Gilliard. I'm from Community Board 10. Richard had sent me his link. So
See
when
that.
I came on, I see his name is under my picture. But I'm Deborah Gilliard. I'm co-chair of Community Board 10, our senior task force.
Okay, we haven't quite started yet. I'm waiting for, a couple more
Okay.
people on.
Okay.
So hang on and thank you
Okay.
for coming. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank
I
you
want
for
to get to
inviting
yours.
me.
As too.
You'll record her name because I couldn't get it off. You'll record her name because I couldn't get her name.
Deborah Gillard,
Gillard, thank you.
Gilliard.
Correct.
Thank you.
You just pass me that for a moment. What's I spell your last name for me?
Saldana, Saldana.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, yeah, Saldana. I know. I have a couple who are very good friends of mine. Their last name is Saldana,
That's how they pronounce it.
except they have an H in theirs.
H?
Saldanha.
Oh, interesting. Instead of the,
They're from India.
yeah,
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. This one, yeah.
there are two Richard Almonds. Oh, there is the actual Richard Almond too.
I heard that description.
So Richard, you're doubling yourself?
Well,
Say what?
That's his evil twin.
Right, there you go. Do me a favor on there, just check off on the sign-in sheet, Dory and Richard are on Zoom. There's
Okay.
an option,
Right.
just put a check mark by their name. Thank you.
Is Rabbi Yosef coming today?
Huh?
Rabbi Yosef, is he coming?
He should be. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Okay.
Expect him, and I expect Carol Luke said she would come in person.
Yeah,
She said, what do you want me to do? I said, come in person, yes.
yeah, that would be great.
Please.
Good to have people, real bodies, real faces.
Did you showed the interview at the senior center, didn't you?
Yeah. Mhm.
But I
Wonder where it
recognize
is.
what's coming into their names. We've been at Athens and Judy. Or she was on, she sat there and I said, honey, you come up too. If everyone else is claiming that. So there were probably about 20 of us standing up there. But people kept asking me about you and but you especially. This was they come in and said, no, we've got a lot of people on the DL. They looked at me and I said, that's the disabled list.
Rose is doing okay. I mean, she's getting better, but still curious as to what's
I
going on.
didn't give them personal information, I just said this.
She is getting better
When she goes to the doctor tomorrow,
tomorrow.
what time?
Uh,
We'll get started in a couple of minutes. I
early
don't wanna
afternoon sometime.
You didn't know her?
Nah, I don't know.
hold everybody up.
Record it.
Where are the time and
The doctor
our
says.
presenters are here.
It's what Susie does to me. I don't record it. I don't remember.
That's a good idea.
You just put your phone down and hit record. They don't mind.
No, NYCC has one. NYCC. They have, Lucas sent out something.
Yeah. About it.
They have a guy coming.
Oh, there's a. Red one.
Mhm.
This one. There's tons of food. It's like,
Oh,
you know, there's, you go along. and-
Yeah.
good morning,
Oh,
there's the-
buffet light?
No one.
Sorry.
You know, I've only seen you on screen.
Ah. You do exist.
How are you?
Thank God.
Belated happy Passover.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just got back last night. You don't have to wait for me.
Hmm.
You don't have to wait for me. I'll set up. I'm ready, whenever you don't, I'm ready. Did we start the meeting?
All right, we're gonna get started. Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me? So my name is Mary Anderson, and we're calling this meeting of the Committee for Concerns of the Aging on Thursday, May 2nd, to order at 10:45 a.m. Welcome, everybody. Let's do introductions. Again, I'm Mary Anderson. I'm chair of this committee. Joseph, if you can.
Yes, Yosef Kalinsky, Assistant Chair. Well done.
James.
James Bosley, member of this committee, member of the community board.
Richard.
Richard Almond, CB12 member, and also participant in the sister committees at CB10 and CB9.
Dory.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lori Garcia, Executive Director, ARC 16 for Washington, Inc., Treasurer, WICO, and public member of this committee.
Right. So let me introduce the people. Let me get people on Zoom to introduce themselves. Lady.
Morning, everyone. Lady Jorge, Executive Director, as Darcy just said.
Good morning, Lilia.
Good morning, everyone. Lily Lopez, Night Connects, our specialist for Manhattan and Brooklyn.
Ashley,
Good morning, everyone. Ashley Carlos, outreach social worker and neighborhood shops, elder justice.
Maria. I don't think Maria is, I don't know if she's able to come on, but Maria Luna is on the call. She is a member of a lot of things in the community.
I am here. Good morning.
There you go.
I can hear you, but you won't see me. All right, but I'm following you, the meeting.
Okay, so introduce yourself.
Hi,
Again.
I'm Maria Luna. I'm on the advisory board of the mayor for the aging, a former member of community board, and I miss you all in person, but I'm here with you all the way. Have a good day.
Miriam Rabner.
Miriam Rabner, MJHS Hospice and Palliative Care, and on the executive board of WICOA.
Okay. Did I miss anyone on Zoom? Deborah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Deborah Gilliard. I'm co-chair of Community Board 10 Senior Task Force.
And again, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, now let me introduce our presenters for today. Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Whitehorn, formerly incarcerated and member of Release Aging People in Prison. And I live about a 10-minute walk from here on a good day.
And Laura has brought some folks with her, also members of RAP.
Jose Saldana, I'm the director of RAP. I'm also formerly incarcerated, and while I'm not a resident of the area, I was born and raised in Spanish Harlem.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Teresa Grady. I am a Harlem community leader with RAP. I live just below you guys on 159th Street and Harlem River Drive.
Welcome to everybody. Laura, Jose, Teresa, take it away.
Are you going to show the?
No, did you send it in?
I sent it to you.
To Paola.
Days
okay.
Ago. But I can send it again right now if you want.
Every one of your guests has sharing screen ability, so if they need to put something up for everyone to see, they can do so.
I think I sent it to you on
Paola
Tuesday or Monday to you.
Okay. Would you run on Paola? Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
I can hear you. I said that everybody has screen sharing ability. So if there's a presentation this morning, all they have to do is share your screen, share their screen.
Who has to change their screen? I'm sorry.
Not change. Who?
No. Let me speak clearly. If there is a presentation on the agenda this morning, please share screen and everyone on this call will be able to see and hear.
Okay.
You have a copy of the URL.
I'm just getting it.
Okay.
Because I can't find the email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now, what should I do with the link? Should I send it to you, Mary?
Mary, are you able to bring up your email on that screen?
Huh?
Are you able to bring up your email on that screen? On your
I'll be over there. I'll be over there. I'll be over there.
Okay, thank you. I don't see a share screen option here.
So you don't bring it with you. You have it on your phone.
Okay, I just emailed it to
Right?
Mary.
And you emailed it to Mary or myself?
To Mary, I
Can you,
can't.
Yeah, but I don't have my.
Can you give her, yeah, tell her your email address.
Hang on, let me pull it up and you will put in. Hang on, where do I get sent?
You can do at this moment, I'm at committee reports about meetings and discussing the agent.
And while we're waiting, I could just say that this is a film, a short film. It's about 20 minutes long. It's a New Yorker documentary. There's going to be a couple of annoying ads when it opens up, but it was made by people who met us and Jose in particular and understood that there's a real need to transform many parts of the quote criminal justice system, and especially the parole board, which has, since this film came out, there have been 2 studies showing that the racial disparity in parole releases has grown, so that they've grown more racist over time. Fewer Black people get out and brown people compared to the number of white people with exactly similar kind of data behind their cases. So that's why this change that we're promoting is so important. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, do I have to share my screen?
No, Paola can do it once she gets the.
Okay. Technically challenged, I am.
We'll get there.
No, I'm not sure that was the best.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Stay to the left across Canyon Parkway to Sawmill Parkway.
What's going on?
He's working on it.
Taylor, we don't have the sound.
I think she's trying to figure that out.
Figured it was hostile.
Drink coffee?
Yeah.
There's some right there, it's just me. The cups are there, the sugar, everything. Just don't eat my muffin.
I tried it one day, just be honest.
This lady down there messed up, man. That lady is having that meeting in that room. She's not computer savvy, so I gotta babysit her all through her Zoom meeting. And I got shit on work to do. Hello. Board 12. Yes, listen, you don't have to hold me to send them up.
I figured it.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. I'm about to bust out and speak Spanish to him because he don't understand English and I don't know what language he speaks.
That's it. She's talking. She doesn't realize that we're listening to her.
Huh?
She doesn't realize we're listening to her. Paola, do you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so do we know how to raise the sound?
My fiance and I have plans.
That is the issue with that's the problem. Off my mic, you won't hear the sound. That's why I didn't want to do it on my computer. I figured that.
But even so, I still can't hear it though.
That's because I just muted it because you were hearing me having.
No, even when it was loud, it wasn't loud.
Very, very.
So I'm gonna try to unmute it, but no one here can bring it up, right? Because it's
I
just.
could try. I guess I can try. Now, I just got internet access. I didn't have it before. You want to forward it to me? I'll try.
I could try again and unmute everything, but if I unmute everything, you guys are gonna hear the phone, me working,
Right.
everything. Let me try.
That shouldn't be the case.
No, because we've shown it before this way and you could hear the. the sound. But maybe.
How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Or
We can hear you.
But not the movie? Hold on.
And in the course of the robbery,
Oh, there you go.
2 people died.
Make it louder.
My reckless behavior.
We can go down.
That's a good start. Let's just start from here.
Nobody wants to talk about the worst thing they ever did. All right. Nobody wants to talk.
I tried it one day. I said, just be honest. Just be honest. That's all you can do.
I was hopeful that I was gonna be able to go home and be with my son and my mom.
You're being asked to
So needs to be a little louder, yeah?
a moment that you probably struggled for a very long time.
Being frank, I was like scared. I figured it would be hostile. You sit down and, think about, what could you say? What would you say? My worst period of my life would not forever define you.
As a child, my dreams and aspirations were, I wanted to be an accountant. Numbers fascinated me at one point, and being able to get paid to take care of other people's money just
was very appealing.
My fiance and I had plans of kind of doing like a happily ever after thing. We were kind of like twins, so to speak. You know.
I thought at that time, growing up in the 60s, that I would become the next great Puerto Rican baseball player. But, that dream just kept getting dimmer and dimmer until it faded into nothing.
I was convicted of second-degree murder, and my sentence was 15 years.
18 years, 20 years.
25 years.
25 years to life.
A patrol car, they actually stumbled on us. And a gun battle ensued. And the police sergeant took a shotgun blast in his face. And he lost his eye vision. Did a robbery, and in the course of the robbery, 2 people did get shot and 2 people died because of my reckless behavior.
I got arrested because my then boyfriend and I, both of us were crack cocaine addicts. He ended the life of my grandmother. Fuel our addiction.
And I made a commitment then that would be it. I would never hurt another human being.
How many years have you?
It's complicated.
In 96, when I first went to I felt
I love dear Lord. I'm super nervous, but I'm hopeful because reading the guidelines for what can possibly get you out or grant you parole, I was asked 1, 2, substance abuse treatment, 3, do a vocation, learn a skill, and 4, my time. The first 3 of which I completed before my first 5 years.
I had a master's degree.
That's right. And it's pleasant.
I had multiple job offers. I was ready to go.
It was around Christmas time, and I said I may show up on my wife's doorstep.
No, I'm leaving. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
When I first got my denial letter, I was disappointed. The second time I got a denial letter, I was disappointed, I was hurt. The third time I got a denial letter, I was disappointed, I was hurt, I was angry.
Went back in 2002, denial again 2 years, 2004, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2011, 2013, 2015. What could I say? What could I do?
2009, 2011, 2013, with no other justification than the nature of the crime.
The nature of your crime, the one issue that you can never change. Don't matter if you look at this crime 10 years, 20 years, 100 years from now, it's going to be the same. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be the same.
For the interview, it's impersonal. They sit you in a room, there's a big television in front of you, 3 commissioners sitting there, and you're talking to a television.
And each time, right out the gate, we had a discussion about the instant offense. Tell me, how do you take the life of somebody who was always there for you? Make me understand how it was just so easy for you to end her life. My jaw dropped. The tears started flowing. I couldn't get control of myself. I couldn't answer his question because I was so overwrought with guilt. At that time, I was with an abusive boyfriend. So anything he told me to do, pretty much I did. when he decided he wanted to get more money, he went into my grandmother's room and began to suffocate her. I walked in to see him doing this and was threatened with, if I don't help, my son was next, who was laying in the bed right next to her. I spent most of my time crying. I didn't feel comfortable talking to them, you know.
Most of my hearings just focused on the crime. We did all that in court. The judge saw it and heard everything that could possibly be said or heard about it. That was part of his consideration when he sentenced me to the minimum.
I had a commissioner named Ferguson twice. He's a former prosecutor. And he will conduct the hearing like he's interrogating somebody. This guy's doing your hearing. That's very disturbing.
You've come to prison because you were not acting like a human being on the outside. Now you're inside. We want you to act like a human being.
Ferguson was a pit bull. He told you straight up that he didn't like you. He didn't like what you were in jail for. And if he was straight to the point.
You have some individuals who are very cunning, who can sit there and BS you for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, and tell you everything you want to hear. And if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the chops to assess someone who has perhaps dedicated their life to criminal activity, someone else may get raped or murdered. And that's your responsibility. I look at their demeanor. I listen to the sound of their crackling voice. I see perhaps tears in their eyes. Some are true tears, some aren't.
I asked another commissioner, have you considered the fact that during my incarceration, I've done X, Y, and Z? And the commissioner picks up my file and goes, oh yeah, we read all that. Just flips through it like a phone book. Like, yeah, we read all that, and drops it back down the table and looks at me like, okay.
Paola, can't hear it.
Bring it up on this computer, that's the problem. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Okay, thank you.
What could I say? 2009, 2011, 2000. Nobody just than the nature of it.
How much longer is it?
20 minutes.
If you want, we can stop watching it. We can send it to everyone afterwards.
That would be helpful.
We can just talk and then people can watch it. Because
I think, I really want to see this whole thing.
Yeah, and
But I'm finding the tech is getting in the way of fully digging into the experience.
We can
But
share
I
the link,
feel
right,
like,
yeah.
but so having the link and then we can watch it, but I feel like we've gotten enough of a taste of it to be able to have a discussion about it. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me, yes. Is that agreeable to the committee?
Paola, you're off the hook.
Paola? Here. We're just gonna send
she
out
did,
the
she
link.
stopped it, okay.
Cool.
You're back though.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to send the link to everyone so that you can watch it.
Try
It's
to
on-
send it to me and then I can send it out.
It's only 20 minutes long and then you can watch it and really see it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can talk about it. I mean, Jose, you want to start?
Sure. As everybody can see, you know, this documentary is about harm. People who committed very, very serious harm. And the question is that, what do we do? You know, for us, those who are formerly incarcerated, and for those who are out here advocating for changes in the parole system, there are two things that we have to focus on. First, I was released from prison in 2018 after 38 years of imprisonment. And I consider myself fortunate because my mentors, one died after 46 years of incarceration. One is still in prison and he's been there for 50 years.
Wow.
And these are, we talk about human beings that not only impacted my life to the point where I am who I am because of them, but literally hundreds and hundreds of people just like me. And there's one thing that, you know, understand that we committed serious harm. So we're sent to prison. What's the purpose? You know, what really is the purpose to sending people to prison to serve a minimum sentence of, in my case, 25 years to life? That means the judge sentenced me to 25 years. The parole board extended that to 38. Why? And is it really, as the commissioner said, you know, protecting society? You know, but the system is so broken that you have to really live through that experience to understand how broken it really is. If I tell you something that's going to shock you, a person is sent to prison, in my case, 25 years to life, and the Department of Correction does not offer us a single program for us to learn how to take responsibility. And I say learn because you need guidance in this. Because it's not a basketball game. You know, you hit the dude, even if it's deliberate hard foul, you know, my bad, you know, and keep stepping. Keep the game continues. You harm somebody, you took somebody's life. You devastated an entire family or community. How do you take responsibility for that? The impact of that harm. You got to first understand the harm. So not a single program to guide us in this direction or to help us develop insight into the harm, the devastation of the harm. But we come together and create these programs. This is why we are who we are today. We created these programs and they're the only reason why people come out, not only with dignity, but with their sanity, and come out as human beings with a moral obligation to repair harm. That term, violence interrupters, credible message, all that came from us. It didn't come from universities, it came from us. So the question is, if this is what's happening in our prison system, first, we have to recognize it, that it's real and it's happening. It happens every day. Everybody's not playing basketball 25, 35 years. So now we take this under consideration and then we appear before the parole board, they're resentenced in effect to death by incarceration. Again, one of my mentors appeared before his 14th parole hearing, 46 years in prison. And during the hearing, he asked to be excused. You know, people thought that he needed to go to the bathroom and have it. He never returned. He had a massive stroke in the bathroom. He died. He should have been walking out before me. Instead, he died. So we advocate that, the system not only is beyond repair. So we got to start out by defining what is justice. On one spectrum, you have justice as revenge and perpetual punishment. And on the other spectrum, you have justice as a system that believes in human transformation and redemption. So how do we reconcile the two extremes? And this is what we bring into the community. And a lot of people say, yes, but what about the victims? We're more concerned about the victims than anybody else. Definitely, we don't use people who have survived harm. We don't use them. We try to understand them. We try to collaborate with them, you know, but we don't use them to promote anything. But the thing is that for us, in our communities, mass incarceration, I just said before, Laura, you know, Laura is the founder of RAP, by the way. She founded RAP. And I'm the director now, you know, since I came home. But mass incarceration is a reality in our community. That's not a myth. These are policies that existed and continue to exist. And just accepting that it's real doesn't relieve us in obligations to change it. It created an injustice in our communities. And I think we have, as citizens of this state, we have an obligation to correct this injustice any way we possibly can.
That's your son?
Yes.
So it's a huge problem. And a piece of it is legislative. A piece of it's economic. The employment machine of mass incarceration is real. The money that's made through concessions, phone cards, all of that, the ways in which people who are incarcerated and their families are made to pay, like literally, for visitation, for phone privileges, for concessions, for all that. There's a huge economic benefit to the system of incarceration. I feel like the more conversations we have like this one, where people get that it's not as simple as kill the guy, you're gonna go to prison for the rest of your natural life, or for 38 years or 25 or however many years. Yes, the question about like, what about a potential next victim? There was some commissioner who said something about, you know, we have to take seriously responsibility. What if this person does whatever it was that they did again? And that is, I've never been in that position of trying to evaluate should a person get parole or not. So I don't know what that weight is, but I would have to imagine that is a difficult thing to weigh. But having the question of parole be simply reduced to, well, this or that person might do whatever it was they were sent away for to begin with, and we couldn't possibly risk that. So we're going to ignore all of these other things that are deeply, deeply wrong with the system is a bit of a red herring, but it's really easy because you always look like a bit of a jerk to say, well, you know, there's more to it than that, because then it looks like you don't care about the harm that the original person inflicted, and that you don't care about the potential for that. So, you know, we're not as a society very good at like nuance and complicated things. It's much easier to be like, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna think about that. You know, who cares? They're just, you know, guy's a rapist. The woman murdered her grandmother. And it's much easier to like not think about it and not have a nuanced conversation like this one. We're just not good at that. I don't know how to answer.
You mentioned it's an economic
Huge.
You know, and it actually, the price of these long sentences is
Ridiculous.
$500 million a year.
Mhm.
Just for the elder, just to incarcerate elder people, $500 million a year. If it was just an economic problem, that could be easily solved. I mean, people my age, I was released at 66. The lowest recidivist rate, almost zero committing another crime. I mean, it's less than 1%.
Yeah.
And yet the price of keeping people like me in prison is so high. I mean, if we was really concerned as a society with the people that are being harmed, have been harmed, not the future, but the people that have been harmed, we'd be more concerned with investing in these communities, because the same communities that are impacted by multi-incarceration are mostly impacted by interpersonal harm also. That's a fact. So we'll be more concerned with investing in those communities as opposed to keeping old people in prison until they have to walk out in a walker. It really doesn't make any sense from an economic perspective, from a moral perspective. You know, if all the statistics, there's a parole commissioner that was on here, we didn't get a chance to see. She's the one that released me. And you know, and she says why. You know, I went before her. She has a social service background. That's what she's a social worker. As opposed to having a law enforcement background who can only see it one way. You know, when a person spent their entire life in arresting, prosecuting, and then incarcerating people, 40 years of doing that, now you get a second job, paying more than your first job after retirement. You take the safe route. The safe route is to just deny everybody across the board.
Yeah.
But a social worker looked at it different. She looked at it from how she was trained. And when I got out, she's a dear friend of mine right now. We go to lunch every 6 weeks or so, or breakfast. And when I first, reconnected with her, I asked her, I said, Carol, did you have any doubts about me? She said, none whatsoever. She said, it was clear. Everything I've accomplished, all the programs and the hearing usually lasts 8 to 12 minutes. Her hearing with me lasted 45 minutes. But she wanted to know why I created these programs, why I helped with this, and got into what I was doing for 38 years. She said she had no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah. And can I just add a couple of things? So because this is the aging committee and others are in the senior, I know, older adults, I think of myself as an old person, not older. The number of people who get denied every year increases that proportion of the aging population in the prisons, so that, there are, if you look on the RAP website, there are reports going back for 10 years of our existence, showing the number of people over the age of 50, 55, 60, who will be incarcerated in New York State and around the country if policies don't change. So that's number one. Number two, the average one person in New York State prison dies every about 3 days. That's one death every 3 days. And the average age of death is 57 to 58, which is, a shanda, we say. And the other thing is that there was a study done by Columbia, where we are in their midst around here, showing that if our 2 parole bills, fair and timely parole that emphasize who the person is now, and elder parole that would allow anyone over 55 who's done 15 years, a mere chance to appear at the parole board. Because right now, a lot of people don't have that chance. They'll never appear, or they'll appear when they're 90 years old and probably dead already. would allow them to go to the board. If those two bills were passed today, in the first year, oh, am I gonna remember the amount? They would save New York State $2.5 million, something like that. I can pull it up.
Closer to 500.
But so the economic issue is really true. But, you know, to me, having grown up in New York and seen what happened to neighborhoods, including Washington Heights, but mostly Harlem, through the years of mass incarceration, it destroyed the community.
Yeah.
And so we were talking before the meeting started about food pantries and the, free food programs. We wouldn't need those to be, I bring food, we all bring food to those pantries. We wouldn't have to do that. That would be a social program.
Right.
So, and then you watch the film, you see the old parole commissioner, Ferguson, and what he would have done to Jose and Anthony and Mark and the other people in the film. And then you think about what all those people have done since the film was made and since they got out. You think, well, which one is right?
So I think one of the things, there's a strong moral argument, but the problem I think with moral arguments is it's very easy for people to be defensive and to not be able to separate what they think about a particular issue from who they are as a human being. While I think there is a strong and obvious moral component to this, I think ultimately, I get the sense that we are all rather in agreement. So there's a little bit of preaching to the converted here. So for us to all have some thought about this is the morally right thing to do, mass incarceration has devastated communities and we need to take a different approach, sure. But we're not the people who need to be convinced of that. And so I think the better tack in trying to convince people of this who do not agree with us is not to make the moral argument, but to make the economic argument. Because, do people who committed terrible crimes, who came to realize the harm that they inflicted, deserve to have better lives going forward? Well, of course they do. But there are a lot of people who have a very judgy, punitive mindset, who can never really get past but you insert whatever it was that you did. But if you make the argument of as a taxpayer, is this really what you want to do with your money? We can have people who have a demonstrated near zero rate of recidivism, living in community, providing social services that are needed through valuable experience in a way that benefits society and costs less.
We're going to bring you a wrap T-shirt because this is
That's
what we
the
argue
argument.
and why we're here. So we really appreciate this. This committee has been for years, and we've had all the discussions here in past years where people said, but, and we talked about it, has been so supportive and passed a resolution. The Community Board 10 a few years ago, I don't know if the resolution is still, when Fareed was alive, passed a resolution. Those arguments are all so common sense and real. We have reason on our side. What we need to do is that our elected officials and most of the Democrats in the Assembly and the Senate have co-sponsored our bills, almost all of them. And we have 350 community organizations around New York State and professional organizations supporting our two bills. We've got, I'm not sure how much more support. We have DAs supporting. We have former law enforcement. What we need is people to join us in pressuring our elected officials to actually put the two bills on the floor and pass them. And so we need more resolutions. We need people. We're going up to Albany, which Teresa probably can talk about a lot better than I can
Yeah.
on May 7th. We need people to come with us when we do things in the community and help us let our elected officials, because unfortunately, they're the ones who pass the laws. If we wrote the laws, I think, and we wrote the bills, formerly incarcerated people, the people you saw in the film wrote the bills that we
Yeah,
are.
what we
trying-
need is for people to have more family members who've been incarcerated, because I gotta tell you, anybody who's ever had a family member incarcerated takes it, all of a sudden, a very different view of life.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this is what prison is like? Like, I just, it boggles the mind.
Yeah, that's who Teresa
It
is. That's
just
who our
boggles the mind.
community leaders are.
The politics of it is complicated because not only the economic end of it, but you say there's less than 1% of elderly who are paroled who then go back and commit a crime. Less than 1%, but it's that less than 1% that gets the headlines, and it's what the politicians use to divide us against a program like this. So how do you combat that? How do you combat people making political hay out of the tiny fraction that do commit a crime, and that gets so blown up inside, and so they say, see, this is what happens.
You keep talking about the 99%.
Yes, we do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't get the same headlines as that less than 1%.
Yeah.
And that's how we got here. I remember, because I'm old enough, the Willie Horton thing.
Oh,
One
God,
guy gets
yeah.
out on a furlough and commits a crime. And, okay, so forget the headlines. We're gonna have that, in the post.
They use it for the campaigns.
But what happened then was that the legislators all over the country passed these draconian sentencing laws. And so for every one person, one instance of harm, you've got thousands and thousands of people whose lives are, including their families, are ruined for life because they're never going to come home. And that's why we do our work, because we were in prison with people like that. I have a friend who just got out. She got, well, not just, she was given clemency by Obama before in the federal system. She was given a triple life and 20-year sentence because her husband was the head of a drug ring that had threatened to kill some people, not even kill. And she was, her children were going to grow up with them. And so she did get clemency. That's another thing we do is we pressure the governor to give clemency to people because they understand. I really believe that they know everything that they're saying. I don't believe that they're totally clueless, but they're afraid of the pressure and the power of the law enforcement community, not meaning the cops themselves, the organizations that will come in, right, and try to get them thrown out of office. So we have to show them that there are thousands and thousands of people in New York and community boards and organizations who want them not to listen to that one case and not to go for the sensation. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like Willie Horton should be a verb.
Well, Teresa, we are really led by not just former incarcerated people, but families with incarcerated loved ones. And Teresa is one of them.
I am a wife of a husband who's incarcerated right now on a 40-year sentence. He's done 18 at this point, but at the same point, he's literally doing a DBI, which is death by incarceration. Why I say that? Because he's suffering with kidney problems. He's asthmatic. He has high blood pressure. You know, these things that can take his life running through time. But then on the other side of the wall, we as family out here, we paying the price with them. Because we have to travel to see him wherever they put him at in New York State. That's money that we have to find a way to, get commissary, which they stop packages from home, which is a problem for the family. Because now we have to go through these vendors who charge, astronomical amounts of money for what we used to pay $5 for. Now we got to pay $15 for.
Oh, I know.
And then we gotta pay for it to be sent to them, to the companies. You know, personally, for me, I am beginning to become medically inclined with different things. Almost the same things that he's suffering with. And that's another hardship, not just for me, but for him to hear that, and he's inside, he's doing his best to work with programs and things like that, and not being able to be looked at. He's past 55 years old. Miles will be 70 years old this year. And I just went to see him, and what he said to me kind of threw me. He said, I'm about to be 70 inside of here. But I do not want 20 more years to catch me in here. I'll probably be dead.
Yeah.
The point that we looked at our bill 55 and older, he's done the 15 years already. He's past the 55. All we asked is that he be looked at. We didn't ask for the gates to be open, a floodgate for people. These two bills only ask that you look at these people for who they are today. Give the opportunity to them. The fair and timely parole bill. It's to give the opportunity. All we want from the parole board is for them to consider these people as human beings who have made strides to come out into their communities and give back. They understand what they did, because none of it, not one person crime can ever be demolished. It's gonna always be there. So all we ask you to do is consider these folks as human beings back into society. They can give back to their communities today because they now have learned. And I have to say this, Jose is right. It's the programs that Jose, others like him, Laura, have created within inside New York State prisons. That's what works for them. Not these programs that the state put in there. Their programs are there, sure. You have ASAC, you have ABP, you know, alternative to violence and stuff like that. That's a requirement that they have to do. But the programs that Jose and many others installed are the programs that count for us today. Those are the programs that they learned from, that they're willing to come out here and use as a tool to teach others to not have to go. But if you're gonna keep them locked inside until they drop dead in here, how can we make the communities better? So, you know, we strive to make sure even the victims, we deal with the victims of survival. You know, we have not forgot about them. I am a community leader here in Harlem. I go out in my community. I talk to many of people about all these different things that we do. We hear them what they want from us. We implement them as much as we can, or we work around with the people to see what we can do with them. RAP doesn't leave people out. That's not what we do. We try our best to have a connection to family, community, and our incarcerated loved ones. That's what we do.
Do you get pushback from the victims' families?
Some, yes, some. We've even had some that say that they don't wish for that person to come home, but they also don't wish the harm to come to them or their family. And some of them have said they'll go and sit down with that person and talk with them. They're willing to go and face their, person who harmed them or harmed their family and sit down and talk to them. We've had some that done it.
And we have some of the largest organizations in New York State representing survivors of crime, of sexual crime, supporting. They come to Albany with us. They testified for our bill. And that because what they want.
That, by the way, was one of the, that piece of information was one of the critical pieces in the discussion at the full board in the passage of the resolution, because a lot of people were like, what about the victims? So I have a friend whose mother and another family member were brutally raped and murdered years ago in the 60s. And the people who committed this crime can, keep on being up for parole and it keeps getting denied. And I think the difference between, say, that case and yours and some of the others that we saw in the documentary is those particular incarcerated individuals have not expressed any apparent awareness around what they did. So what they did was terrible, and they don't seem to get the enduring harm and trauma of that. So when people ask about parole, there feels to me like a difference between someone who has, it's like that great scene in the Shawshank Redemption when the parole officer says, have you rehabilitated yourself? And the main character is like, I don't even know what that means anymore. That's a BS word that you all use to feel better about yourselves. I wish I could go back and talk to who I was then to explain to that young kid why what I then did was so wrong. So that's clearly a different person than somebody who kind of giggles about what they did and that they would like to do it again. Sure, there are some people for whom maybe releasing them back out into society is not a good idea. But there are a lot of people who get like, I am a very different person now. And there's no benefit to me staying here. There's no benefit to anybody else. No benefit to anybody, you staying in prison. And there's arguable benefit to being released. So I don't think it's a hard argument to make, particularly when we do acknowledge the struggle of parole officers to evaluate who is sitting before me. The person who recognizes that I am a different person now than I was then, or the person who doesn't.
And I know it's getting late, and I know you have other things on your agenda, and I want to be respectful of that because we could sit here. But I want to be clear, what we're asking you now is, and you raised this idea with me, Mary, so, take your resolution, I think, and whatever Community Board 10 has passed or will pass, if she's still here, and get I know that there's a body that is over all the community boards in Manhattan, correct? And get that body to pass it as the entire community
So
board.
you would like us to ask the borough president to bring this before the borough board for a borough board reso.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be
We
great.
don't need a resolution for that. That's just you and Kathy. That's you talking to Kathy and Kathy raising it at borough board. Would anybody like a nut? There can't be walnuts.
Oh, no, thanks.
And you say that not everybody gets the opportunity to come up to the parole board. Is that because the original sentence is without parole? Is that?
Sometimes the sentence is 75 years to life. I know this kid. He came in at 16 years old. He's been in prison for 40 years now. He was sentenced to 58 years to life. At 16 years old.
Without the opportunity of parole.
He'll be before this parole board when he gets his 68th year.
Okay.
But he's, but this is when everybody from the president on down said that super predator. So this to me, it's just an egregious injustice to take 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Call them super predators and
call them adults.
Throw them away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I just want to say one thing to your point, you mentioned this guy, sexual assaulted and murdered someone. We tried to create a program to give it to the Department of Correction that will be like a report card. So that they can say that the victims, the survivors of the harm can look at the path that this person traveled in the decade after decade. instead of making a decision based on that one image they have of him or her.
Right.
You know, because that's really what they had no idea, none whatsoever. And when you ask them to give us a statement before the parole commissioners, that's all they could think of. That single moment. That's it.
Right.
So you know, we keep people stuck in their harm.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's an injustice to them.
It's going to place.
To keep them there without offering them any opportunity, because once they see us, we've invited mothers, mostly Black and brown mothers, into the prison to talk with us. Now, we couldn't do it if somebody was in prison that harmed them, you know,
Right.
like these organizations, mothers whose sons have been murdered by gun violence. And the first time they came in, they didn't come in to have a conversation with us.
Right.
They came in there to give us everything they had.
Right.
Rage.
I get that.
Pure rage, you know, and we had to accept that, even though, as if we were the one that harmed them. But after a couple of visits, and they begin to see us, know us, have a conversation with us, it changed. This is why we have mothers who's lost sons to gun violence supporting us. Because it took a while, because they got stuck there. And all barriers in between us and them had to be removed. For us.
It's an easy place to get stuck. I mean, I understand why parole officers are gonna be very stuck in the moment that lands a person in prison in the first place. And I understand why families of victims or victims if they're living are gonna be stuck in the moment of time of their harm. And I think that in the case of victims and families of victims, asking them to forgive the people who have harmed them, you know, is a lot. Some people can get there. A lot of people can't. While I think that victims and families of victims have a place in the decision around parole, I don't actually think they should be the primary voice in that. Because and I don't want to sound like I'm not compassionate for their harm. I am, but I'm not so sure that I, as a member of society, am getting the most benefit from the criminal justice system when the decision-making is put so heavily in the hands of people who are harmed. Because then we're requiring people who are harmed to forgive those who harmed them. And I don't think that's really up to me to do. I don't think that's fair for me to ask. And I don't.
I really agree with you, because I think the way the system works now, if those voices are given, if the angry victims are given so much weight, it's a system of revenge.
Right.
And, you know, I think we all also have seen where particular survivors of a crime have been used to promote, you know, that kind of vengeful thing. So I know it's not, to me, it's not totally a moral argument. It's more kind of, what kind of society do we want to live in? And what is also the growth as human beings that comes from accepting responsibility of harm we've done and from forgiving the people who harmed us. So, you know, that's why, even though we're very concrete about the benefits, we've got them all on the website. I should see, people should look reports after reports from medical establishments and legal establishments about the benefits of releasing elders to the whole society, not just what they'll do, but, you know, for example, if people could get out when they are eligible for parole. And remember that parole is not early release. It's release at your minimum sentence. if people had a chance to be released at their minimum sentence when they have made all these changes, they would come out and have livelihood. They would be able to work. Jose says this all the time, that why wait until people have to be collecting disability? So there are many, many
Yet
parts
another
of
way in
this.
which it costs the system.
And-
Well, thank you all.
Okay,
So, yeah,
I want to bring this
Thank you.
discussion to a close by saying thank you very much for, all of this information and for sharing, the documentary with us. And, had some really great discussion from members of the committee.
Yeah.
And, I think that, we can continue to work on this.
Yeah. Very much.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know how to find us.
Yeah, I sure do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good work too.
I have a couple of more things on the agenda. You're welcome to stay or go or however
I have
you
another
want to.
meeting.
You need me for quorum, because I gotta get back to the. Are we
Yeah,
voting on
I-
anything?
Just,
Okay, yeah, we all got it. Let's just close it. Yeah,
just want to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
let's just finish it. 'Cause,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I just want to briefly run through, had
Okay, have a great
discussion
day.
about our experience with
Thank you.
hybrid meeting at the Dykeman Senior Center. That was our first outing
How was
since
it?
pre-COVID. And just wanted to get a sense of how you guys thought that it went.
I think it was healthy to be out there in the community board, in the senior center, as representing the community board. We had a nice participation, people who, haven't been able to participate before.
Right, exactly.
I don't see a downside, from doing it more often,
A
as
few-
long as the technology works.
Yeah, a couple of glitches. I mean, with, technical difficulties and also, unfortunately, Dory was not able to be there, so we didn't have a translator initially. So that's an important thing for me to remember.
Yeah, I mean, for me.
And
on
going to
Zoom,
the other senior
experience
centers,
Of it
but-
seemed.
No, that was not, so that-
Yeah.
It seemed, it was okay.
Yeah.
I could mostly hear what was going on.
Okay.
And, I felt that I was able to, I mean, I had some issues on my end because my Wi-Fi was less than great, but it seemed like, okay. And yeah.
In terms of future senior centers, we have a couple of, offers, ARC 16 wants us and also Riverstone wants us.
And what about
However, with
Isabella?
Ebenezer out,
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult to plan. Don't know when exactly he'll be back. And with Paola being the only person here in the office, it's difficult for her to be
I've not heard anything about it.
trotting around.
Is he ill?
I'm sorry?
yeah, he had some.
We don't
surgery.
exactly know.
We don't know what.
Some medical
So he's
leave,
out.
that,
He's
for
out
at
on
least 6
medical leave.
weeks, yeah, that he'll be
Yeah.
out.
Okay, so we don't have to plan for June, and then once you hit June, then we're talking already September.
Yeah, I mean, I
exactly.
think, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Although, how difficult is it to do it again at wherever the last place we did it?
I don't know if we want to go, I don't think there's
Okay.
as much to gain by going back to the name, it would be the same.
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, let's plan on doing it in September.
Okay.
And in June,
June, I have,
June, I'm gonna be participating virtually.
okay. In terms of speakers, and presentations, I have, contacted people from Sage that Richard Ullman, gave me
Great.
names of to do a presentation.
Great.
Since June is Pride Month.
Great.
Um,
Do we have anybody on the call who's at Isabella?
no,
Okay,
no. Oh, well, no, I think Miriam left, actually.
got it.
Yeah,
Boy, oh boy, they really need to work on their visitation policy and welcomingness for people who are trying to visit people who are in the facility.
We're not gonna
I got a
talk
little
about that.
bit of a beef with them.
Let's talk.
If you
Let's
could
talk
get-
about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta bounce, but if I could get her the contact information for somebody to have a word with, the next time I'm visiting with Jay, I'm
Uh-huh.
going to, Jay's at Isabella.
Yeah,
That's right,
He's-
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, he's at Isabella. He would love to have visitors. His cognition's pretty good. He's able to communicate. You can kind of hear him talk a little bit. He's got a trach, so couldn't bring him any food, but he's doing like a lot of PT. If you go to visit him, bring him the newspaper. New York Times, please. And yeah, it would be great to have people who can go in and visit him.
My intention was to be getting up there on a kind of a regular basis, but since I had this bad fall and I have a
Yeah,
hairline fracture in my hip,
not so
I
good.
can barely walk, so.
Got it.
I just wanted to share
Mhm.
that the Y is having an event
Okay.
on May 19th. There are flyers in the front. Songs of solidarity. They can
Okay.
register online for that. And
Cornerstone Chorale concert on Sunday at 5.
I'll be there.
Yep. Should be good.
okay,
Wife is singing.
Yep.
Oh, well.
I'm excited. Do you have an extra flyer of that,
yeah, it's on
Okay.
the table up there.
And free store tomorrow. So if anybody's got, if YU has stuff and they want to bring it over today, would be great.
Clothing, what are you talking?
Clothing, yeah, men's clothing, women's clothing. I mean, I know you don't have a lot of kids' clothing, but yeah, last time somebody had a lot of stuff from
Yeah.
like Lost and Found.
Oh, we definitely have.
So, yeah, so if you
What-
wanna,
Starting today till when?
so we're there until 6:30. If we
I
know.
don't know if
you're-
I can mobilize right
If
now.
we know that you're coming over, we're trying to really limit the drop-offs
That's
to
what's up.
just today, because otherwise it's overwhelming.
No,
but
if
if
you
you
give me
know you-
Monday, Tuesday, whatever, next week.
Yeah, no, the free store is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you're able to get it
Okay, I'll get
over,
it done
great. If it turns out that you're not able to get it until tomorrow morning, like,
That's days like
we
a
could
travel, people
also-
are just coming back to campus yesterday,
I get that.
today. It's not mobilizing, not gonna work.
totally get
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
I also
No.
want to just announce that Hannah Nay, who has been
Yes.
a member of our committee, is not reapplying or not
Oh,
continuing on the board, so we will no longer have her
Uh-huh.
as a board member. Just want to say thank you for her
yes.
service and, appreciate her. As far as one of our public members, Elizabeth Urena, has not been attending the meeting for several months. I have not been able to get an answer from her. I've sent her emails. I have notified the office several times. I will keep pushing to get her off the list because this is impacting our ability to have a
Correct.
quorum.
Correct.
So that's.
Also, Miriam James is
Ma-
another person
Yeah.
who has not been attending the meetings at all.
So
I've also been
Miriam-
on the case of,
Okay, so Mariam is an actual board member.
correct,
So the process for managing that is very different. But for
yes.
public members who aren't coming, that's not a conversation with the office. That's you picking up the phone and saying to Kathy Diaz, this person isn't coming, they're adding nothing. There isn't, like, people are appointed as public members by the chair.
Yes.
So that's you have a conversation with Kathy saying, please get this person off.
I have had several of those exact
And did
conversations.
she say okay or no?
She's saying she's working on it. Okay, I've
Well,
sent her,
understandable.
I've sent her copies of the email that I sent to Elizabeth.
I don't-
I've
we
done
haven't met her.
everything in my power.
I don't think we've met her.
Um,
Over here.
I will try to have a more definitive conversation at some point soon. Our next meeting will be Thursday, June 6th, and more likely will be here in the office.
Sounds so good.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we done it.
Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to watch that video now, though.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, my gosh.
Me too. Yeah, that was really interesting.
It's,
I mean, it was excruciating and
oh, yeah,
tedious
yeah.
for the tech, but
Yeah.
I would not have been as interested. And now when I get the link, I'm totally watching it. There was something that